Historically, we are the debris, forgotten faces, never more to be. Instead of legends fighting for something that had no guarantees, living ghosts we chose to live and die as their worker bees. Why didn't we break out from their hide? Why didn't we follow our own sun to another life? Why didn't we scroll over all their flowers? Brothers and sisters, it's okay to be free. Brothers and sisters, it's time to be freedom of movement, freedom of thought, freedom to choose, freedom to talk, freedom of religion and association, freedom of the press, freedom to be you, freedom to be you, freedom to be me. I can feel your secret vibrations like our last fading song. It's time, oh, it's time to be free. I can hear your vibrations like a final human cry. Oh, it's time, oh, it is time to be way past time to be free.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. Tonight we are meeting Melinda Richards, and I'm meeting her for the first time too. There's thanks, Kel. I've met her on Twitter. She's often posting great posts, and I've just really admired what she was doing. And finally, I reached out to her, and she's got a book. This is the book here. You Can't Say That, Uncensored. And I just want to read something out about this. The book gives you permission to have an opinion again, which is kind of why I like her. Permission to start talking about things you didn't think you could talk about anymore. If you wish to learn how to regain the freedom of speech and remove your fear about speaking out, then this book will help you to realize this dream. I'm actually going to play a little video she has to plug the book, and then we're just going to have a discussion. Here we go.
So, You Can't Say That it's a read that will help people go, I love that, I agree with that, and I wish I could say that. Well, first of all, you can say that, you can have an opinion. And as I said, the book is really, it's just as much about everybody else as it is about me. I mean, this is just an opinion piece. And an opinion piece is just something to hold up to other people to say, you know what, you are absolutely entitled to your opinion. Don't let anyone tell you what you can and can't say. And remember that if someone says to you, oh, you can't say that, you'll offend so many other people, you'll offend this group or you'll offend that group, their offense is their problem. It's not your problem. You are absolutely entitled to have your opinion. So the book is that's at the core and the heart of the book. And I think it will also, you know, allow people to say to themselves, well, what can I do to give myself a greater voice and just to be a little bit more fearless out there and hold down a lot of conversations with people that they might haven't certain things they feel strongly about, but they feel they've never really been able to talk about it before. So.
There's two links we'll put up. There's one link that goes straight to Melinda's site where you can buy the book here, and that'll be up in the comments there. And but she's also having us put it in the Banned Book Company, and which is just marketing of books like this. It should actually be in major bookstores, so you can find it there. But without further ado, let's bring her on. And here she is. It's a pleasure to have you on.
Oh, thank you so much for having me on your show tonight, Michael. It's really great to finally touch base with you and talk about all the things that are going on at the moment. And boy, oh boy, since we've been connecting the last couple of years, it's 3 or 4 years now. It's been crazy.
I know, it's absolutely insane. And you wake up every day and you're almost going, it's like a new Netflix series where it's just going to be all bad.
That's right.
And I think the funniest thing I've seen so far is, I don't know where I put it actually, is Trump with the Easter Bunny.
I haven't seen that. Oh my goodness.
I haven't seen that. Yeah, I don't know.
I've missed the Easter Bunny, the Trump Easter Bunny.
Yeah, the Trump Easter Bunny. You're just looking at it in like going, he's got an Easter Bunny. And he's talking about the war. And I can't see it at the moment here. But, yeah, I was just looking and going, we got this madness going on in the world. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
yeah. It's a big distraction, to be really honest with you. So
yeah. Can I ask, though, I always do this. Because I believe COVID has changed the world so much. We can now go BC, AC, B before COVID, after COVID. So
Absolutely.
When you were in a different world, which we thought was the world, what were you doing?
Actually, I started writing the book in 2018. So I knew I was relatively awake before 2020. I knew that there was some dire things going on around us, probably from 2007. That for me was a bit of a watershed moment in my life when I realized that the sort of human being that was now sitting at the head of the country. And I didn't really do much about it, but probably the next, 7 to 8 years later, things were getting so bad that I started to jot things down just to sort of maybe have a blog. I thought, I've just really got to think about, why am I so concerned? Why am I so worried? What's actually going on here? I knew a few bits and pieces, and I had a few pieces of the jigsaw, but I started to do my research probably in earnest around 2017. And by 2018, I was putting pen to paper. 2020, I actually put pens down because I realized that I was, even with the research I was doing, I was pretty far off the mark. I hadn't pieced it all together, but it allowed me to really get that big picture finalized. And then I started writing the book again in 2021, and I put an extra chapter in there, and I reworked it a little bit just to talk about COVID. And it was never ever about, for me, it was never ever about what was going on. It was about how they were actually getting people under their control so easily. That's the psychology of it for me. Really, apart from being devastated about it, I was sort of kind of fascinated too at the psychology of it all.
The psychology is, I can't understand it still. There's so many questions I have. The compliance. I mean,
Oh,
we've gone from a vibrant Australia where you could go into a pub and people have all these crazy conversations, and I remember I did a rant recently. I said, I worked with a guy who absolutely straight to your face would go, "Oh, we're genetically modified apes," from, and he truly believed it, and he'd tell anyone about it. But we just pat him on the shoulder and go, "Hey, Mark," and sometimes it didn't talk. It didn't matter.
yeah.
We could handle different, but now, of course, he'd be sacked. He's offending someone and something
Well,
like this.
that's right, and
And
that's exactly right. We have entered the world in the last 20 years of divisive identity politics and wokeism, and it's really ramped up and gone on steroids in the last 10 years. And what that's allowed governments around the world to do is to use divisive language and wokeism through being a certain type of person, identifying as a certain type of person, and having a victim card and having a place on the victim totem pole, which is what I call it, as to where do you lie on that victim totem pole. That allows you to have more of a say than this person over here and that person over there, because of your identity, not because of your behavior, your core values, because of the productive contribution you might be making to society. All of that went out the window and we went straight to identity politics. And you know what? The left never used to be like that. 40 or 50 years ago, they were quite the opposite to that. So this sort of toxic wokeism that infested us like a cancer, it infested all levels. It infested corporations, it infested social media, it infested the government, the public service, it infested the media. And what you had out of that is you had the ability to control people through abuse and blaming and doing all sorts of things based on someone's skin color or based on their gender. And that is a real problem, because it gave all of these people who were nasty, narcissistic, mentally ill, mentally challenged people to suddenly be more powerful and have a strong voice in our society and yowl down and abuse everybody else. And we're put on a pedestal for it. Now, the problem with that was that nobody likes to be abused. No one wanted to be called a racist. No one in Australia, particularly, wants to be called names. People are generally non-confrontational. So that quietened down a lot of people. So we didn't speak out, and hence people started saying, you can't say that anymore, or you can't do this. And political correctness became normal. And that is what started this whole psychology around, once you start telling people what they can and can't say, they're easily controlled. And I believe that the global politics around that and the people that manipulate people around the globe to this new agenda that we're heading towards very, very quickly use that. They use that as part of the control mechanism. And that's why it became so easy.
It happened, I was, before I was made it as a playwright, my last job was the trams. And when I started that, the men were vibrant. They could, upstairs, they could talk about anything they wanted to, and no one cared. But when this new company came in, a French company, KDR, who, and they, in an older time, apparently, they were part of the company that used to transport Jews to Germany, or French in the resistance who'd been caught to Germany. And apparently after the war, they sent Germany a bill saying you have to pay for all the tickets of these people we sent to you. So they don't have a history of being a great company, but they came in, and I remember they said, they had a social media policy that said, if you say anything that anyone anywhere could find offensive, we'll sack you.
And that's blackmail. That's essentially blackmailing people, and it's blackmailing people into submission. And we have that on a mass scale now. And these corporations and governments have got people by the short and curlies, and we saw that with the vaccinations as well. This is about control. This is about blackmail. This is about, issuing ultimatums. It's not about choice. And we lost and are losing and have lost so much of our freedom. I mean, if we ever had it in the first place, I mean, I'm even questioning that now. But at the end of the day, even if we had some freedom, we have now lost it. And we've lost it all. And people might think they live in a free country, but Australia is no longer a free country. And I have this debate with people all the time. I mean, in our national anthem, we have young and free in there. And so people really get upset when they hear me say, and I don't say it to too many people, only the open-minded that want to engage with me about this, but I say to people all the time, we live in a socialist country. We are not a free country. And I think that as soon as Australians really get their heads around that, that's when you might start to see a revolution. Because of course Australia is also sold out. So you can't have, we're not the masters of our own destiny anymore. We're owned. No, we don't own our own country anymore.
We're passengers on a train, and someone else is driving the train. We don't know who it is.
Exactly.
That's what's happening. Yeah. How when you speak, because the other thing, just to finish that, they also when they got new people in, and what they said to these, and it was predominantly men before, because it was just older men really, and they said to the people coming in, if anyone says anything you find offensive in the staff room, tell us, and we'll deal with it. And they sacked all the outspoken men.
Oh, wow. You've got men there. Divvy jobbers.
Yeah, you've been there for like 30 years. I remember one guy, he's upstairs. He always used to cook sausages. And someone said to him, where's my sausage? He said, it's in my pants. I'll give it to you in a bit. And a young lesbian who was the first day in the job went downstairs, and that guy, I believe that guy lost his job. He'd been there for years.
It's absolutely disgusting.
What had happened was, there was Vietnamese drivers there who'd come off the boats from Vietnam when Fraser let them in. It was the first job they got, and they'd been there ever since. And they pulled me aside because of the other work I was doing. And they said to me, Michael, this is communism. This is how it starts.
Sure it is.
Bit by bit. And that's when it really hit me. Because I remember the first time I heard political correctness was manhole covers. They're going, we can't have manhole covers anymore. We can't have man, So and that was when you thought, what? Oh, it's ridiculous. But just a few years ago, someone approached me and said they were I think it was last year. They were the events. They were doing the tech head, what do you call it? Roadie guy. And he was at an event. 600 politicians or from the political class were at this event. Enormous amount of food. And the only discussion they were having was how they've got to change 50% of the names on streets to women's names. There's too many male names on the streets. The country's going broke, and this is what they're talking about. And he said,
well, that's the easy stuff, isn't it? That's the easy stuff. I mean, when we go down to this sort of puerile, this kind of hating on men to hating on white men, I've been absolutely so horrified at that in the last sort of couple of decades, and it's gotten so bad, as I said, in the last 10 years, that I have been a very, very strong advocate for men in this whole journey of this toxic wokeism. And the thing about when people want to come and talk about that, and they want to virtue signal, and they want to tell everyone how wonderful they are, and I'm such a great person, and you get all these narcissists that are the wokies, because it's all about them and telling the world that they're a good person. And I always have to say to people, if you're going to tell the world you're a good person, then you're probably not. If you've got to say it, it's probably not true.
That's right.
And at the end of the day, that's the easy stuff to crap on about, isn't it? I mean, if you're crapping on about that, you are certainly not doing the things that you should be doing, either in your life or running the country or running your company, and actually becoming productive members of society. And we have lost so much productivity in Australia, and also in the other Western countries, over the last decade as well. Like we've lost enormous amounts of productivity. We've lost our self-sufficiency. We've lost our ability to be masters of our own destiny. And we have done this because we've taken our eye off the ball, because we've allowed people who shouldn't have a voice have a much larger voice than what they deserve. Now, I'm happy for everyone to have a voice, but if you're an egotistical, narcissistic, moron that wants to get out there and start to hate on people just because they're of their gender, or just because of their politics, or just because they have an opinion about something, then sorry, your voice probably needs to be put to the side. Yes, okay, we've heard you. Thank you very much for that. We choose now to get on and do the things that are going to make our country back again, back to where maybe it used to be. And that is that we start building ourselves into what we could be. And what we could be is a superpower. We have more land per capita than probably anyone in the world. We certainly have more food per capita than anyone in the world.
Yeah.
And we certainly have more
Saudi
energy
Arabia.
per capita. Yeah, we have more energy per capita than anyone in the world.
Absolutely.
And at the end of the day, we have an energy crisis, a cost of living crisis, and we have a housing crisis. So what that tells you is that we have absolutely destroyed our country because we've sold it out, because we've been too busy focusing on identity politics, focusing on people pleasing, and not putting out and not doing the hard yards, not telling people that they're responsible, that they've got to work hard, that, we've got to put our nose to the grindstone. That's not been our culture for at least the last decade. And we are now seeing the results of that.
Yeah, I'm going to play you a video. He's been dead for a while now. So this is probably from the 80s. Listen to this. This is Charlton Heston.
Political correctness is tyranny, just tyranny with manners. The spectacle of Wayne LaPierre's media crucifixion appalled me.
So we don't know what he's talking about, but I thought he's long dead. And so I was talking there. So it must have happened even before we knew. And it's just this slow creep, like the boiling frog. And now we're here where you go and you see, let me guess what your life would be like. You're at a dinner party somewhere and you start spreading your opinion and everyone does this. Like is awkwardness of just this silence. Like, when is she going to stop talking? Can we get back to renovating kitchens? I don't know if it is, but that's what I find. And then you find this other mob, this passionate mob who really want to talk. And we're like this and we're just having conversations. And this now is becoming a way not to entertain, but a way to have influence because people want to listen to conversations. They don't care about whether you're a star or whether you've got special effects. They actually just want to hear conversation because I think they're starving for it.
Look, I totally agree with you, but with the way I've managed it, I can't really talk about my life between 2020 and 2022 because it was just so traumatic. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm not sure how I got through it. I was absolutely one of the 5% who absolutely did not do anything. I did not lock myself away. I did not wear a mask. I kept traveling. I was driving you can't drive 24 kilometers away from your house because science, right? I was driving a long way. I was deliberately, absolutely not buying into it. And the day it was just really interesting because I couldn't understand how for the first couple of days, people didn't agree with me. I was like, oh yeah, but no one will do this because of course you can go into Coles and Woolies, you can go into the supermarket. So everyone will know that this is a joke because if you can go in and touch all the fruit and veg and hang out with thousands of people in the supermarket, but you can't go to a bar, then people are going to go, oh no, that's just ridiculous. So that's what I was waiting for. So I waited for the first 2 days and then I waited another week and then no one was out. And then I was like, oh, well, hold on. And then I had that moment of absolute, just that sick feeling about a week into it when I saw some social media posts and then I saw selfies with masks on and then I was seeing ranting.
The ring, raving. Remember the ring?
Oh, the ring.
I have my jab. You're welcome.
Oh gosh. Oh God. And I was like, because it was the first 2 weeks I realized, and that's probably was the moment that I felt physically ill. I got through it. But one thing that has happened, and I will say this on a trying to be optimistic, I do like to be a glasses half full type of person, is that so many people have re-engaged with me and I never raise it. I never bring it up. But I have a lot of my friends now and a lot of my acquaintances who will text me or write to me or ring me or we go out together and then people actually say, right, Melinda, you did this during this time. Tell us what's going on now. Tell us what you think. So it's almost like I had this sort of mini reputation now amongst my my sort of groups of friends that I have, where they go, Mel, what do you reckon about that? Because we think this, this, and this. But you see, I had to go through sort of 2.5 years of absolute crap to get to that point. So I sort of feel like, maybe I'm just maybe this is just a little mini reward at the end of it all. But in all honesty, people are starting to wake up. There's no doubt about it.
It's online everywhere.
Yeah.
But can I tell you something? There's two things. One, the other thing that you lived under, I think we all lived under, if you didn't play the government game, was there was a distinct possibility that they could round us up and put us in camps. And then our neighbors, even your friends on your side now would go, well, maybe you should have done what they said.
You know, I'll tell you now that it was never it's no different now to what it was then. I think there are 4 types of people in this world. You know, the people that are in charge, the club, that we don't belong to that. You know, the people that are like you and I, who are awake and going, hey, listen, we have civil rights, we have freedom of speech, we need to be a free society, and we need to fight for those rights, and we need to speak out. So the people like you and I call maybe awake. I mean, people call us lots of different names, but probably awake. You know, the third group of people are the people that just go, oh my God, I just don't want to know. I do not want to know about anything. Just let me get on with my life. Don't talk to me about it. I want to talk about nails. I want to talk about my new car. I want to talk about, you know, me looking for a house. I do not want to talk about anything else. And they've got blinkers on and they're in their bubble. And of course, unfortunately for Australia, there's a fourth group of people that are quite large in this country. And that group of people actually they like the tyranny. They do like socialism.
Yes.
They nestle into communism quite nicely. There's no way that communism could have worked for so long in so many other countries for a few decades had you not had a willing group of compliant people. And in Australia, that's about 1/3 of our population. That's my estimate. Now, that's a lot of people. And so we do live in a country where we have a bunch of people who are very, very happy with the way things are right now. And they're very happy with structure, with socialism, and being told what to do. And they want the government to be their mummy and daddy. You know, that's a sad fact.
Yeah. I hate to say it, but that's the truth. Early on, when I first started doing this, we had a guy on, Richard Wollstonecraft, and he said that exactly the same. He said there's a lot of people who love tyranny. They love communism or whatever it is. They love that the government makes them feel safe. Don't do this, don't do that. Stay in here and you'll be safe. Okay. And they do it. When you interviewed, because I've interviewed lots of people who grew up under communism, what they said was eventually everything grinds to a halt. The stores are empty, everything. And we're seeing it now. You know, we're going to petrol in the Bowsers. You know, they're talking about famine. And this is what happens. And then they start to get a little bit more reluctant. I mean, the same thing's happening in Iran now. There's probably people going, I like this regime. Even we've had a few there's an Iranian girl we've had on several times. And she says over there, the ones going around making sure the women wearing the hijabs properly are other women. You know?
Oh, look, the women are women's worst enemies. I've been saying that for years.
Thank you.
You know, the 21st century feminism, I've written it's a chapter in my book.
Yeah.
To be really honest with you, liberal white women, feminist white women, it's not true feminism either, but the sort of liberal white women are the absolute enemy of Western civilization. The absolute enemy. I mean, women were on the front line of compliance and yelling and bitching at people for not wearing a mask, for abusing people. I mean, half the videos you saw of people, you know, behaving very poorly were women. And, you know, because, and I've got a very good friend who's a social psychologist, and she is very, very, very smart. And she tells you about the parts of the brain that get activated and deactivated and what parts of the brain override the others. But she will also tell you about the difference between the male and the female brain. And she is very, very clear when she said that women have to be particularly careful for brainwashing because we are a lot more vulnerable to repeat messaging, to marketing and to brainwashing than a lot of men are. So she's very self-aware herself. And she said, we women are, because of the way that we think, that we're nurturing and that we're feeling, and we get in this whole kind of brainwashing mode that is absolutely no good for anyone when we're in these emotional states. Because as you know, you should not be making decisions out of fear. You should not be making decisions in stressed emotional states. And also another thing that I have to say about a lot of women is that they loved to virtue signal. They were the captains of virtue signaling during COVID. Women that I loved and respected were virtue signaling, and I just couldn't get over it. I couldn't get over it. It was the hardest thing to watch was women leading the charge on stupidity and ridiculousness. Stuff that wasn't logical. It didn't make sense. And I'm not kind to I'm not kind of many women around this.
There was a study that came out recently. I've captured it down. This woman speaking about it, and she speaks just about this. And she said they did a study in America of the different genders and how they rated free speech. And men, 3/4 of the men said free speech isn't essential for a society. But 3/4 of the women were more about inclusivity, everyone getting on, and free speech wasn't seen as that important. And so they're saying what's happening to the world, and this is gets in a lot of trouble. Who gives a shit? They can't cancel us twice. We bounce back in the life. There's it's basically got to a point now where they're saying there's too many women, and like what you're talking about, and feminine men who are more interested in that. And that's in having a society where people don't get offended, where everything's allowed. And where that's got us to is schools are having to put kitty litters in their toilets for children who are convinced that they're cats. You know,
and look, a lot of what we're
theory. I'm not
seeing,
saying it's true, but this is her theory.
No, it is. It's actually. I think it's very, very true. It certainly happened at a local school here on the Gold Coast until the word got out, and then the school actually stopped doing that. What I believe the deeper psychology around this is that people are social creatures. Women are particularly social creatures, so therefore our likability and our need to be liked and our need to be included and accepted is probably a little bit stronger than men. And so we worry maybe a little bit more than men about what our friends think about us. And should we say this? Because if I say that, and I put that out there, people are going to think I'm really amazing. And then I get all these likes and I get all these accolades. And I think that's a little bit more important to women than men. Certainly a lot of effeminate men, I mean, definitely it's important to them too. But it is about the positive side of the female brain, I think, this whole idea of a beautiful, nurturing, emotional side, the feminine going so well with the masculine, which is the strength and the truth and the freedom and the honesty. You know, it's manipulating that beautiful feminine side of women and that side that is mothering and helping kids through tough times. It's gone to the extreme, and it's being weaponized, and it's been weaponized against men, and it's turned a lot of women into people that do not have the courage of their convictions anymore. They've lost their value system. They've lost what they truly believe in. Because they're so busy trying to find the next big thing that they can tell people and jump on and tell people, hey, listen, I'm really great because look, I've got the Free Palestine flag, I've got the Keffieh, I've got the Ukrainian flag, I've got I'm fully vaxxed. I'm, like whatever's on the, I think I can't tell you what the definition of a woman is because I'm too afraid to say it's a biological female. I mean, if anything should be telling you the difference between women and men is this whole thing around psychology and where our society is going. And I think women have let themselves go on this. They haven't been aware enough, and they haven't had other women call them to account. And I think that I try to call them to account in the chapter in my book. And I believe that very, very strong women out there are influencing other women too easily and too quickly. And I think women have got to start taking a step back and taking a look at their own behavior. If you're a leftist woke woman, you need to start waking up, because you're really a big part of the problem.
What's interesting is, like, we have this. I just want to read this out, though. This is from Michelle Morrissey. I will never forget a nursing unit manager at NICU ward telling me, after I said to her, children have died from the C shots, say babies die all the time from shots, she would happy to have me marched off to a camp. Another supposed friend in health lost. It's
horrendous. It makes me, I can feel the hairs standing up on the back of my neck when I see stories like that. And the funny thing is that I had read a couple of books about the Cultural Revolution in China, probably 15, 20 years ago. And you at the time, a couple of decades ago, you're reading it going, oh my God, it's so terrible. The way that uncles turned on their nephews, the way husbands turned on wives, the way that brothers turned on sisters and brothers, and that friends turned on other friends, and the way that the Chinese behaved towards each other. And I remember thinking, when I was watching all of the posts of the divvy-dobbers and the lecturers and the people loving the government telling me what to do, I thought, oh my God, it brought back these memories of reading about how the Cultural Revolution in China was rolled out. Because, of course, you needed a good proportion of the people to be on that side, to be able to get control and to allow that takeover to occur. And they were happy to do it. And then I thought, you see, human behavior is human behavior. It doesn't really matter whether it's happening in Australia or China. People have some fundamental traits. And I think that I was always happy and content to be on the side I was on and in the realm I was in, because I fundamentally stayed true to myself. And I never told anyone that at the time, but I never once wavered. I knew who I was. I didn't have anything to prove. And I suppose I was in a very fortunate position. And that's probably because of my age. Someone asked me, well, Melinda, had you been 20, 25 years younger, how would you have gone then? And that's a very good question, because it was life's experience that told me that the logic was dumb. But then, I don't know, in my 20s, I was
my sense is that you would be you,
Hopefully.
and I because I thought the same. We do think, because we haven't faced anything like this before. And going back to what you said about China, and it doesn't matter what form of tyranny it is. Tyranny needs compliance. That's the foundation block of tyranny, is compliance. And that's what we're learning. And even though you've been putting women down, I have to say, in the movement I was in Melbourne, the women that were there were the bravest initially for a long time. For some reason, they had men were the speakers most of the time, not all the time, but the majority. And we had the podcast like Hoodie and stuff. But a lot of the people listening to us were women. And,
when I say women in general, I'm talking about woke.
No, I
woke
totally understand what you're saying. So but we're talking this, but it also, the thing that shocked me was how weak men were. And I thought, have they been broken by the last few years?
Yes.
Have they been worn down, or have they always been this? We're having discussions now with lots of men. I have this discussion all the time, even from very old men who've been in the army, saying that when the men were in the trenches in the war and they went over and ran into the fire, was that courage or compliance? They had all the weapons. Most of them knew it was bullshit. Even when they met up with the Germans in the middle and played soccer, that history tells us that they got on and thought, we're mates. And yet they went straight back and were firing at each other. This is really, really, really controversial.
It's a very good point, though. That's a very good question.
Wonder how important is compliance? Because it's the little things, I don't know if you noticed, Melinda, that really terrify you. Like, I was at Cuba Pedy. I went there with Cret, and we're interviewing people there. And this woman turns up, a young woman, didn't want to take the jab, gets out of a 4-wheel drive, and she says, "I've just come from a mining camp. A nurse turned up, had to jab everyone on the camp." And she said to this nurse, "Do you know anyone who's had a vaccine injury?" And this is what she said. She goes, "Yes, my son. And he's on an EpiPen for the rest of it. He has to carry an EpiPen for the rest of his life." And she said, "Well, if that's your son, what are you doing here pushing it on to us?" She goes, "Well, the government wants us to do it. And if we can't trust the government, who can we trust?" That was it. So she'd forgiven the government for what she's done to her son. And this is the strange thing. Like lately, the trolls have been back en masse. We're getting attacked like crazy. I don't know why. We're doing the same old thing. But no one seems to attack I haven't seen people attacking the government for pushing the jabs. All the evidence comes out that, they knew, they didn't take it themselves. All this evidence, they don't care. Now, like, the country's out of fuel, and more people seem to be angry with Trump without going, well, why don't we have the fuel?
Well,
why don't we have tons of fuel?
That's exactly right.
It's really interesting that they're not angry at their masters.
Well, look, it's a real shame, actually. It's part of the reason why Australia is going down, and we are going downhill. There's no doubt about it. As I said earlier, we should be a superpower. We should be dictating terms to everyone else in the world because we're that rich, but we're not anymore because we gave it away. The thing is that Australians are brainwashed into disliking Trump. For people to say that our fuel crisis is somehow got something to do with Donald Trump have obviously not been alive for the last at least 30 years and seen Updeen wars break out. I mean, in my lifetime, I remember the Lebanese war back in the 70s. I'm 58 years old now, so
I'm older than you, babe. I'm the same. Israel and Palestine, they've been fighting since we were born.
Well, and I mean, when they redrew the lines on the map 120 years ago, I mean, the Middle East will always be a hot point. And the first thing you need to do is you need to understand history. The second thing you need to do is you need to understand how many wars have actually been occurring in the last 50 to 60 years in the Middle East. And then the third thing you need to understand is there will be continuing wars into the future, and that situation is never going to change, and that we have no excuse not to be fully self-sufficient in all of our energy requirements: oil, gas, coal, any of the precious minerals. I mean, name something that comes out of the ground. And Australia, uranium, Australia probably is the world leader in pulling it out of the ground. Copper,
lithium.
Lithium. I mean, hello, lithium, the future of the world. As I said, we should be a superpower. We should be dictating terms to everybody else. We should be the new United States of America. But instead, naive Australians who listen to Channel 7 every night, or Channel 9, or God help me, the ABC, they've got this kind of TDS, this Trump derangement syndrome going on that's been going on for the last 10 years, since 2016. And interestingly now, psychologists have actually been talking about that, and they now have it as a diagnosable mental disease, apparently. I'd read something about that last year, that TDS has actually been identified now. It's got nothing to do with Donald Trump, what's happening in it with our fuel. Obama, it doesn't matter what president you're looking at, there's going to be a war. We have the ability to be self-sufficient in fuel. We only have one group of people to blame in Australia for our fuel crisis, and that's ourselves. It's got nothing to do with Donald Trump. And I have to say that our relations with Donald Trump now and with the United States are so unproductive and so poor now, our greatest ally, that, people agree with that simply because of TDS. So rather than even thinking strategically anymore, people are so swallowed up by hate towards a man that they really don't know much about at all. And they really don't understand the history of the Middle East. And they really don't understand why he's there. And I don't think even Albanese knows what's going on, because why would he trust our government? That we're in even a worse situation now from a foreign policy perspective. And I don't think that's healthy. Whether you love or hate Trump, the United States of America is there as our very, very key ally.
Absolutely.
And they're really not a key ally of ours anymore because we've
No.
started to destroy that.
Yeah, and the interesting thing too is people forget because they just go to Bali and love it. But Indonesia has 1 million strong army, 1 million, and we're sitting here basically they're saying, look, these people aren't even making use of the resource. Everyone goes about China, but Indonesia, and this is I'm not saying it will happen, but it's possible. They could land in someone like Port Hedland, take it over, and our highway map, they could be around Australia in days.
Of course.
I'm just saying that that's possible. And the reason they don't do it, the United States, not for us, it's the United
course.
States.
That's
So if
right.
we lose that, suddenly we're in the playground and we don't have a big brother protecting us. Instead we're just, and I'm not saying it'll happen, but that's how easy it could happen. But I believe you, it's us. Do you think it's because we've had, say, 40 years of no real struggles like other countries have? And
I think that's
made
part
it
of
so
it.
fat and slow and lazy, and it's just like, that's what happened. It's like a dodo sort of thing. We've forgotten how to fly.
Yeah, look, I definitely agree with you. I think that's part of it. What happens is you've got that saying is that weak men, strong men, weak men.
Oh yeah, strong men create good times. Good times create weak men. Albanese, and then it cycles like that. Yeah.
Australia had the perception of good times. In actual fact, what was happening was our basic foundations of our economic prosperity and our self-sufficiency were crumbling. But because of our very, very high percentage of people on welfare, because of our very high tax rates and that tax getting fed back to the people. So more than 60% of the population pull some sort of benefit from the government, if not live wholly and solely on the government. That's more than half of our population. We also have an absolutely exploding public service. And you've got that coupled with people who rely on the government. So even private enterprise that rely on government contracts for their survival. Yeah. So essentially, you could really double the size of the public service when you take all of those people into account. When you get a group of people earning great money and they're buying expensive houses, they're not doing it on the back of productivity. They're doing it on the back of at the expense of middle-class productive people in the country, and that pool has been shrinking, while the other pool I just described has been expanding. And we've gotten to a point now where our debt is now $1 trillion, that we have no fundamentals anymore in our economy. We have no ability to provide our own energy. We certainly don't have any ability anymore to manufacture goods and services or compete overseas. And, our farmers do it. They struggle. They really, really struggle, and they shouldn't. So we've crumbled our foundations. But because we've done it very slowly, stone by stone and pebble by pebble, we've barely noticed it. And in that time of pretend good times, I always call it pretend good times. When we coined the lucky country, we're the lucky country. Well, we were never the lucky country. You always have to work hard for what you have. But when you've got people sucking on the teat of government and most of the country doing that to earn their income, they're easily controlled.
Yeah, that's right.
And they're going to vote for the people that are going to keep their lifestyle, keep them in the lifestyle, whether they're sitting on welfare and that's the lifestyle they've built around welfare, or whether they're a senior public servant earning $300,000 a year. They are going to vote for the people that are going to keep them in the lifestyle. They are not interested in the economy as a whole. They are not interested in the country or future generations.
So
because they're feathering their own nest.
Basically, they're trying to protect their pile of dirt. As I've been saying lately in speeches, it's a new phrase. They're trying to protect their pile of dirt, which, because they're so focused on themselves and not the whole community, is actually becoming a pile of dirt. So they're going to end up with nothing. And if you think back to where we were self-sufficient, think back to the 1970s, or you look at a picture, say, from 1976, all the vehicles in the streets are ours. We made everything, the washing machines, the hill hoist, everything was made our own clothes. we were self-sufficient, and now we're importing food. How could we import food? We've got so much farmland. I mean, it's the globalization is real. I also think globalization has got us to here too. They sold it to us well, but now here we are. I have done that, Steve Morgan. Go and check the one about West Papua. We've done a major interview on that, Steve. Go check our Rumble channel. There's and so here we are. There's some questions here, though, I want to ask you about. These are from the audience. This is why I like going live. So this is Conspiracy Fact Check. It's actually Tom Vogel. He knows, what do you think of our Victorian Cross, Mr. Roberts, now in under arrest?
Well, look, I first became aware of that when a friend of mine, we were talking about Andrew Hastie last year, and a friend of mine set me straight when it came to Andrew Hastie and Ben Roberts-Smith. All I know is this, that when you send people into a war zone, and I don't care what war you're talking about, you could talk about World War I, World War II, you can talk about Vietnam, and we all know the stories out of Vietnam. You'll be talking right now in Iran, you'll be talking about Iraq, and this one's Afghanistan. At the end of the day, you're training people to be killers. You're training people. And my understanding is that he was ordered to find somebody that had slaughtered 3 Australian servicemen. Now, I don't believe all the facts have come out, because I don't believe that Ben's been given the opportunity yet to put all the facts on the table. So I'm really reluctant to have an opinion other than listening to his full story myself on a transcript or reading about it, listening to all of the other chatter against him, and then making a call. But overriding my call on that would be that when you send brave young men into a battle zone and it's their life or your life, or you're suspicious of someone that's murdered 3 of your colleagues, then you're probably going to make a few mistakes, and you're probably going to have some collateral damage, because it is war. I don't condone murder, but I certainly do not like this trial by media and trial by social media going on. I certainly cannot stand the head of the AFP, what's her name, Chrissy. I can't stand her.
With all her medals, she's got more medals than he does.
Well, I actually put a post out about that. It's done quite well, to be honest.
I think I saw that, yeah. I love
Look,
your
at the end of the day, I don't like DEI appointments. She screams DEI appointment. I do not like people who will not fundamentally come up and protect our country from what was clearly a problem out of Bondi, and lying about, and just clearly lying about what the real problems are there. I don't believe she's fit for the job. And so that's clouding my judgment as well, because I don't think she's fit for that particular position. So I'm generally, and I'm tending to go on Ben's side. And, you know, when you get awarded the Victoria Cross for rushing through machine gun fire to protect your regiment and protect your friends, I'm probably going to say that, you know, at the end of the day, if you've misjudged or if you've done something that has not been the right thing to do, which you haven't said yet that you haven't admitted to anything, then it's a war. I mean, I don't know what else you're going to say. I mean, did anyone see what's been going on between Israel and those Palestinian people since October the 7th last year? Both sides, look at what both sides have done to each other since October the 7th last year. And I mean the wholesale slaughtering of babies on both sides, of women, of beheadings. I mean, and yet we're pulling up our war hero for what he's done. It smacks to me of a distraction. It smacks of the sympathy towards certain religious dispositions of this government. It doesn't sit well with me, and I'm very, very uncomfortable with it overall.
you know what's interesting is if you look at communism, what they do is slay their heroes. It's famous for it.
Yes, that's
They
true.
they do. They, you know, the heroes in the Russian front, a lot of them ended up in gulags, you know?
Mm.
This is what they Stalin was famous for. So we're seeing things like that. But I'm
Mm.
with you. This is war. We send our young lads to war and we're going to hamstrung them with the morality of the Sydney latte class.
Mm.
Sorry. This is another realm. This is these men. I mean, from all we know, is the soldier, the man who did the killing of the 3 soldiers, was pretending to be working with us. You
Well,
know,
that
so,
apparently that's the story. And
so
once
that's the
again,
story.
until we all hear the full story, I mean, I had some person come and respond, and I can't remember where it is now. There's hundreds of comments on my post, so I wouldn't be able to find it now, but I should have done it at the time. He's like, oh, because, you know, Ben Roberts-Smith is this, and this, and he's a murderer. And it's like, oh my God, you were there. What was it like? That's what I nearly said back to him.
But it's
Wow,
just, you know,
you were
if
there.
that,
You saw what happened. Gosh, you must
but
have.
turn it the other way around. Say we were invaded and Afghanistanis were here, and one of our soldiers managed to get in and pretend he was famous, you know, he was a friend of those, and then managed to kill 3 of them and walk away. We'd be going, well done, what a heroic effort, 3 more for us. This is war. It's
And
war.
this is
It's
exactly.
bloody, it's nasty, it's war.
Yeah.
G'day, Robin. That's so, to me, this is a really bizarre thing that's happening. And this is where we wake up every morning and going, what? You've arrested our soldier?
I actually
Well,
find it really. I find the timing really, really odd as well, because
yeah,
we only had a few months ago 15 people get slaughtered in cold blood from Islamic
yeah,
terrorists in this country.
yeah,
Many of the terrorists do originate out of the Stan regions around Pakistan and in those areas. You know, I find that timing really odd. I mean, I'm so horrified at what happened in this country. And that's another thing. I don't think that people in Australia were horrified enough. I believe that the Prime Minister of this country absolutely has blood on his hands. I heard so much chatter before this atrocity was committed at our one of our most iconic places in Australia.
mm,
You know, I heard murmurings around what ACO was focusing on, who ACO was actually looking at, that they were asked to change their focus, and that,
yeah,
you know, they took their eye off the ball. Now, I would hate to think that was the case, but I'm hearing that from more than one source.
yeah,
And, you know, this is direct orders from the Prime Minister of Australia.
yeah. Yeah, it's extraordinary, isn't it?
Is it
And
true?
even
I'd like to know, you know.
I saw an American podcaster today, or maybe he's Australian, but I think he was American, and he's done a study on the aftermath, and he said the Prime Minister of Australia, 5,000 words he spoke in the days following, in different speeches and media events. Not once did he mention Islam or Muslims, anything,
Correct.
but
That's
twice
correct.
he mentioned right wing, which
Absolutely.
I never knew I was right wing until basically I realized I'm right wing simply because I refuse to shut up. And that's the issue.
I know.
It's like
I mean,
yourself.
you know, a fabulous playwright, right wing extremist. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
just,
that's right.
it's just
I've been left
preposterous.
all my life. I was, I did a calendar in the past that saw when the gay marriage was going on. I did portraits of gay couples who've been together for years, just to say, look, that's how they are. I was just
Yeah.
interested because now I'm thinking, but the thing was, that's where I was, and I was always saying, oh, you're too left, you're too left, you're too soft. Now I'm right winger. Now I'm a danger to society.
Well, that's because you're not afraid to have an opinion. So anyone
That's
at the
right.
moment, according to Anthony Albanese, is a right-wing neo-Nazi. I mean, if you've got an opinion that's different to his, and this is the other thing that he is doing, he is forcing a single source of truth, and that really leads into what I believe is the greatest threat to Australia at the moment.
Yes.
And I think that's why we're getting a lot of distractions going on, and this will make COVID look like a kindergarten picnic, is the digital ID. And Australians just don't have overall, I mean, there's many that do, but on a general sense, Australians simply do not have a sense of urgency and fear around the digital ID. Now, I'm not afraid of anything. I'm a relatively fearless type of person, but I have to say, for the first time in my life, I am truly worried about this march towards Agenda 30. And Agenda 30 is an actually real thing. It's got a website, and there's lots of great things that you can see that the WEF put out. I'm not saying anything.
Klaus Schwab wrote a book. He wrote a book. And in the
it's
book,
all in there.
He wants to get rid of us.
It's all in there.
Yeah.
In black and white, in his book, on the website, he's done panel after panel after panel. The WEF are very open and honest about exactly what the end game is. And when the digital ID is implemented in Australia, that will be the end. It will be over. Society
will be silenced. Once that goes through, you and I, people like you and I, or anyone like us, will be silenced very quickly. They'll be able to do it, and why wouldn't they do it? The censorship that we faced over the last 5 years is extraordinary.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's and yet we're still here. We're still plugging away, and we're fringe. And I had someone come up. I've interviewed 2 people today. A guy that was on the Commonwealth Board of Biosecurity, a PhD professor who now is a fringe dweller. And he told us today, this will go up in an interview the next few days. I'm doing interviews with Max Freedom. He does the filming of it. He told us that, I never heard this, but he was talking about Wuhan. And he said the CSIRO in Australia were involved in Wuhan and the gain of function. I personally never knew that. I was in shock today.
I'd heard that a few years ago, that the CSIRO had their fingerprints over some parts of the development of different viruses, and that they did have a relationship. I must have heard it from someone who maybe posted it on my feed or other, but that I do remember. So I must have read that somewhere. Yeah.
So they knew, because they would inform the government, so they knew. Then we have today interviewed another woman who claims that basically she's dying of the jab, and she's already been made infertile because of it, and it's horrific. It's just absolutely horrific. And you're hearing these stories, and we're going, "Oh, COVID's over, it's over," but it's not over. It's just you have no empathy. You only care.
I get that all the time. I put out my never forget posts. So that I put out never forget, and I bring up old videos, or I talk about the vaccine injured. I talk about excess death rates, whatever is happening today. I try to talk about that, but I also go back and talk about where we were only 4 years ago, 5 years ago. And I try to keep it top of mind all the time until those criminals have been prosecuted. And I think we've got such a long way to go to get justice for all of the people that lost family members through this jab. I mean, the excess death rate now, someone told me the other day it's up around 20%. You know, the vaccine injured people, I do try. I wish my following was more. I do talk about that. I mean, there's so much new information coming out now about the dangers of those COVID jabs, and every day I'm following a couple of accounts, or a few accounts, that are really pushing the latest information, the latest studies, and none of it's good news. It's so bad, but it's all stuff that we knew was going to happen, because they had so many people before they got censored warning people in 2020 and early 2021, as I said, before they got censored, do not take experimental mRNA injections, because we just don't know what we don't know. And we just don't know. I mean, Dr. Robert Malone was on the forefront of that. You had Peter McCullough was on the forefront of that, Dr. Peter McCullough. All of these people put their careers on the line because they were really, really caring about what was going to happen to people. And
Yeah.
I always followed people that had everything to lose during that period. That's who I was following and listening to, and they all turned out to be correct. But I haven't forgotten, and I still try.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because like even interviewing this woman today, I mean, I've just interviewed loads of people, but
This is so horrible. It's so
right,
horrible.
right at the end, she was going on with anger and
Yeah.
I asked her, so can I ask you one difficult question? Because she had cried a little bit, but I said, have you found the strength to forgive yourself? And she just broke, and we ended the interview there. But she just broke, and afterwards she said, I can't forgive myself. I gave it to my child. I can't forgive that. And it's just, and you were just in despair. So we just ended it. We thought, no, that's enough.
Horrible.
And it's brave enough to say it, but I have people coming up to me often, men who still feel that they were medically raped because, and they weep. And so we've got a whole country that's suffering from PTSD, but our mob, like us, because we've been kicked out of society, it's the first time we've experienced real oppression.
Yes.
It's like honed us. I'm stronger than I've ever been. And I see you. I'm taking a guess that I could put $1 million down, without telling you, of course, that I am never going to see you on Channel 9 going, I got it wrong. I wish I'd complied. I just never going to see it. But that's what we're seeing from the other side now. ABC has come out on vaccine injuries. Basically, we did a thing the other night that we'd like to introduce or welcome into the cooker community, ABC, because finally they're telling cooker stories. Current Affair doing a cooker stories. Welcome aboard. Welcome to the party. And now Steve, what's his name? Carl Stefanovic is another one. And around the world, other reporters are doing the same.
Yeah, Carl's an interesting one. I think he's a particularly interesting one because he is a very, very popular TV personality. I think he is now
highest paid presenter ever in Australian history.
Yes, and he is I think he's actually the most popular, so he is number one.
Yeah.
When you go back and look at the way he has the way he treated some people during that period of time, and also before that when he didn't agree with them. I'd love to drag that old interview years ago that he did with Pauline Hanson, but that's a story for another day. But the couple of interviews that he did, there was one with Craig Kelly on the Today Show, and there was another one with a woman who I apologize, I can't remember her name. I don't know who she was. She was a doctor or a nurse or someone qualified in any event. And he was so disgusting and rude to those people. It was so awful to watch because he was so into the whole, I can't even listen to you anymore. If you're going to say something against the COVID vaccine, no, we just have to end this interview. I'm done. I can't even listen to her. You see, the thing is that he's culpable. Like when you've got that strong a voice, and you aren't even prepared to listen to the other side. You are not prepared to listen to a woman who turned out to be 100% correct.
Yep.
And all of the information that she was putting out was 100% correct. Same with Craig Kelly.
Yeah.
When you are not even prepared to be a journalist or be respectful or even just have a little bit of manners about you, because you're so indoctrinated and you're so intent of playing this kind of virtue signaling, you have to be held accountable for that. And I don't believe that Carl has been held accountable for the part that he played. They also did that horrible ad, I've got my shot, did you get your shot? Channel 9 ran that over and over and over.
Then. I missed all that.
Have you got your look, it's our shot. Oh no, sorry, it's our shot. It's our shot. So at the end of the day, no one's being held accountable for their actions. And that's a really big problem for me, because that's the reason why people want to move on. You find the people that talk to me on my feed when I do my Never Forget when I do my vaccine injured, when I talk about people that have passed away from the vaccine. Oh, Melinda, we've moved on. That was years ago. You've got to move on. And they start to get really abusive. It's like, you're obviously a person that shouldn't be moving on. You're probably a person that needs to be held accountable for the things that you said and the things that you did during that time. Now, obviously, if you've got 300 followers and you're abusing people on X, like, we're not interested. But if you're Karl Stefanovic and you've just started a new podcast and you're appealing to the people like me, I'm going conservative, I'm going right wing, I'm going to grab all these people that we've got really long memories. We don't have short memories. We are still posting about people who are vaccine injured. We are still feeling sorry for our friends and our family who have been vaccine injured, and we're trying to be supportive. I mean, I feel like crying every time I see a horrible story, one that you just spoke about just then, a beautiful interview, beautiful person you just interviewed.
You will cry when you watch
We
it.
feel shitty about it, but I feel shittier that people like Karl have not been held to account. Now, how should he be held to account? I don't know. I don't have that answer. Should he be prosecuted? Should he come on the Today Show and start to actually tell the truth? Should he do what Sam Malhotra did on the BBC and flip and come out and apologize and say, well, listen, I got it really wrong and here are the actual facts? Would he be brave enough to do that on Channel 9? Would he be putting himself out there and being courageous now that he did what he did previously? I'd love to know that, because I'm very disappointed in Karl, and Karl is very, very popular.
Well, I hate to say it, but I'm talking to people now who are suggesting I watch Karl, because he interviewed a guy called Rennick. Have you met Rennick? I'm going, yeah, I met Rennick. But they're listening. They won't listen to us because we're cookers. You know, it's like, basically, say we were on the Titanic. You and I are on the Titanic, and we've known it's hit an iceberg, and we run into the main mob and say, we've hit an iceberg. They'd look at us and go, cookers. They won't listen. It's like the government said, you can't listen to them. They're bad people. And that's pre-COVID. Anti-vaxxers wear the dirty Jews of pre-war Germany. That's what we wear. And that's so right. And Bossy was the one that actually said, when the mainstream join us and start telling our stories, that's when the rest of the mob will start to wake up, because they're giving them permission to do so. And so when you say about
that's absolutely correct.
Can I tell you just another analogy? This is what I think. These people who say, haven't you moved on? Haven't you moved on? Every time they say that, I see them saying it online. I remember the great film Once Were Warriors, where Jake the Mush comes into the house. There's his wife. He's already beaten the hell out of her. She's got black eyes. She's all broken. And he's going, clean yourself up, like, just get over it. That's what I see. They brutalized because at the moment, this is where Australia is. A good vast majority of the country has been medically raped. They didn't want to take this thing. And now they know that COVID wasn't that dangerous. They know it was not about saving them from COVID. It was about making sure they got this shit into their system. So they know that, even if they don't want to admit that. And they've been betrayed by the government. So it's like some young girl walking around wanting to talk about the fact that her father's abusing her, but not wanting to do it because she doesn't want to disrespect the family. She's walking around with that pressure. And then now we're being pillaged by corporations. And that's what's happening. It's quite clear that our leaders are not following us. And everyone gets it. And that's why Pauline Hanson is seen, rightly or wrongly, as the only cab on the rank that seems to have Australia at her core. That's how the market, and that's why people are coming across. Because Melinda, one thing you do, just one thing I can hear you do is you think deeply, you evaluate. And I'm sorry, but a lot of Australians don't. Yeah. It's like, tell me what to think. Okay, I think Pauline's good. Tell me what, you know what I mean? They're that easily done. They've lost the courage of their own convictions. They've lost the courage to look deeply. Not everybody. There's a lot of people in here. I'm not insulting everybody. But this is a mob who's waiting to be led. And
it's true. It's true in so many ways what you say. Pauline Hanson's very interesting. Someone asked me about Pauline Hanson the other day. And my response to them, because I've met Pauline Hanson, I know Jared Rennick quite well. Jared's a wonderful person. I know Alex
Yeah.
Antic unbelievably. I mean,
Yeah.
I've been very
You would
fortunate.
have met them with the TNT when you were doing the work
Yeah,
there.
and also I was very fortunate to meet Alex Antic when I was in Adelaide as well, and also I also attend CPAC conferences, so I do get an opportunity to talk to a lot of people. The thing is, it's not about Pauline Hanson per se. It's not about the person, and it's certainly not about the party, One Nation even. It's not really even about the party. What you have is you have a lot of Australians waking up who are in dire straits, and they see things that are so bad that there is literally nowhere else to turn. It's kind of like Pauline Hanson could be, the purple-headed people eater right now, saying the things that she's saying.
Keep talking. I'll be right back.
And, she would be very, very popular. But I just sort of feel at the end of the day that it's not, as I said, because of her. It's because of the things that she was saying and a lot of things that she's straight talking, and she's really bringing people along with her that are trying to make sense of where we're going to go next. What are we going to do next? Where to from here? Because both major parties have let Australia down terribly in the last 30 to 40 years. It's both sides of politics. It's the Liberal Party
the
and the
social
Labor
contracts
Party.
have been ripped up.
It's not about left and right anymore. It's about extreme left and left. It's about globalism. It's just about these things that are, it's globalism. I mean, we're now we're a subsidiary of a large global company. That's what Australia is. And now that people are waking up to that, they look around and they put their head up out of the rabbit hole and they go, oh my God, this is so bad now, we need to do something. And then One Nation sits there and says, well, I'm telling you, this is bad and this is bad, so you got to come to us. The only thing that is going to help the situation is if all of the minor conservative parties join forces, and I'm talking about the National Party, One Nation, People First Party, which is Jared Rennick, and the Libertarian Party, which is absolutely brilliant. If you ever get a chance to read the manifesto of the Libertarian Party, I really encourage anyone just to go on their website and just read it and get a sense of what a truly free society might look like. I think it's wonderful. If they all join forces, you would have a very, very different looking country if they came together and had a leader, and then they were able to get candidates, a little bit like what's going on in the UK right now, and they were able to bring forward this conservative movement, which is really just about getting our country back to a point. I don't think we can ever get it fully back until we get out underneath this sort of globalist nightmare that we're about to head into. But we definitely need to ditch digital ID, and we definitely need to start to get, at least become energy self-sufficient. Once we get our energy back, then we can talk about getting our economy back and getting our housing market sorted out. Once we get rid of all of the criminal immigrants and we get good immigration, not bad immigration, this will take about a decade to turn the ship around. But the first thing we've got to do is get someone in that's going to do it and put the 10-point plan down in place and bring all of the conservative leaders in this country together. And somebody is going to have to lead it, and some other leaders are going to have to take a step back. And that's going to be the problem, because you'll find that the personalities involved just at this particular point in time probably won't allow that to happen. And I think that would be a real shame. But I do think we're at the edge of the cliff. So if those leaders could find it within themselves to kind of join forces, we will have a very good fighting chance.
We've got more people watching now, so I just want to plug your book one more time. So I'm just going to put the ad up. This
Oh,
is
thank
a
you.
video she did about her book. This is
I'm
the book
shocking at
here now.
marketing my book, I tell you.
Yeah, this is the book now. You can't say that. I'm going to play the little video she did before we just moved
Oh,
towards the end of the interview. And but it's I'll get Kel to put it up. Here's the link will be in the start thing. So here's the interview now. Have a listen to this. I think you should buy it. I really.
So, you can't say that it's a read that will help people go, I love that. I agree with that. And I wish I could say that. Well, first of all, you can say that. You can have an opinion. And as I said, the book is really, it's just as much about everybody else as it is about me. I mean, this is just an opinion piece. And an opinion piece is just something to hold up to other people, to say, you know what, you are absolutely entitled to your opinion. Don't let anyone tell you what you can and can't say. And remember that if someone says to you, oh, you can't say that, you'll offend so many other people, you'll offend this group or you'll offend that group, their offense is their problem. It's not your problem. You are absolutely entitled to have your opinion. So the book is that's at the core and the heart of the book, and I think it will also, allow people to say to themselves, well, what can I do to give myself a greater voice and just to be a little bit more fearless out there and hold down a lot of conversations with people that they might have certain things they feel strongly about, but they feel they've never really been able to talk about it before. So.
You're going to find this book, guys, in the Bad Book Company. Bad Book Company putting it there too. It's already on, but we just got to do the website thing to get it into where it's supposed to be. Kevin will probably keep doing that. And the link there also goes to Melinda's website as well, where you can find all about her. But I'll put that up now too. So that's Melinda Richards.
thank you.
.com. Oh, there it is there. Now, just going forward, a lot of people, I think, are wanting to go, I'm sick of being silent. That's when I meet people, they just talk and talk and talk and talk, like they finally got someone they can talk to. How has your life benefited pre-COVID to now, or not benefited from deciding to speak out in a time where the state wants you to shut up and just do as you go? And that's what it wants. It wants you to shut up. It'll censor you. It'll shame you. If you get too popular, it'll debank you, like we've seen with Maria Z, lost all the banking things. And all this. There's nothing they won't do. In fact, we've had our people put in jail. Patterson. What's the other woman? What's the other woman that got put in jail for a month?
Monica Schmidt.
Monica Schmidt, they've put us in jail. I've met lots of people in our movement who've gone to jail. No one knows about them, but they've just been lost in jail and finally released. Damien Richardson, who was also on TNT Radio, he's looking, he could do jail time because he was changing light bulbs. It's this insane thing where they're prepared to go that far to protect the state. So you've got all that pressure on you, all those threats. So why do you still speak out? What is the benefit to your life of actually having the courage to voice your opinion?
Well, I get to meet people like you, so that's a big benefit.
I get to meet you.
The benefit is that you can, I guess, go down with a fight knowing that you loved your country, that you love your friends, that you love your family, and that you did something to try and save your country. And you cannot leave this world in a worse place than when you found it. And I think our generation is absolutely leaving the country in a much worse situation than when we found it. And I have a very big moral and ethical problem with that. I've always had a bit of fight in me. I've always been a competitive person. And I guess for me, It is about what we leave for future generations. I mean, future generations are going to look back on us and they are going to pinpoint the moment, the key moments, probably 3 or 4 key moments in the 21st century when Australia was no longer going to be a country that was an attractive place for its settlers and its ancestors that formed and settled the country to live in anymore. And that, I think, is a real tragedy. And I'm just not prepared to just sit back and do nothing. But and so I've sort of got no choice because it's just really part of who I am. But also, I have met some absolutely fantastic people. There's no doubt about it. I mean, my life has been enriched by forming friendships and understanding the psychology of society a lot more and finding my true tribe and the people that will truly stick together and really have the courage of their convictions to try and save Australia and save Western civilization. And I think Western civilization is under attack. I think white Europeans are under attack.
Nigeria, Nigeria, Christians have been killed in Nigeria.
Yeah,
I think Libya or Syria, they're just doing massacres of Christians.
absolutely.
I mean, we've just got, why
There's
am I
a genocide going on.
And this is, we're taking Muslims, but to be honest, why aren't we taking buckets load of Christians? We're basically
because it's by design. It's by design.
Yeah,
I believe that there is a fundamental attack, a very coordinated, fundamental, and deliberate attack on Christian people around the world, on white Europeans, and particularly white men. And I think that this is so much evidence to support that statement. There is just so much evidence. And I think what white men need to do is absolutely stand up and say to their brothers in arms, probably to people like Ben Roberts-Smith, that listen, we actually have to stand up and restate our core values. And I do talk about core values in my book. I've restated them because it's important that it's not about identity politics. It's about who you are and your value system. And Western civilization has a value system worth fighting for. And if you're a parent, you want your children and grandchildren and you want generations to remember that you actually stood up for something and that those Western values and core values and Christian values mean something. Now, I don't go to church every Sunday, but I class myself as a Christian because, hey, listen, let's face it, there's some good stories about being a pretty decent person in the Christian realm, and the 10 Commandments are a pretty good start there too. I mean, if you know nothing else other than that, I mean, these are pretty good guidelines for your life and to be a good person. But it is being attacked, and there is genocide going on, but it's a very slow, subtle genocide. And a lot of people would disagree with me on that, but I see that sort of evidence going on every day because I look at things other than mainstream media.
Yeah, to show you the evidence of white men under attack. You had that boy went to an NSN march. I think he was from South Africa, and he's straight away deported. No discussion, no trial, nothing.
Yeah.
They sent him out of the country.
Yeah.
And then they stick Joel. I think he spent 144 days, couldn't see his kid, in jail because of a post on Telegram. But then you see, I saw today there's a migrant from Africa raped a young girl in Port Macquarie, and he's out on bail.
Look, the two-tier policing is going on in the UK and in Australia and Canada. It's on steroids. The two-tier policing is absolutely, there's evidence for it. It is overt. They're not even trying to hide it. And white women and girls are also under attack. And I see
women's only spaces. This is the tipple thing where that guy wants to get into the women's only online. I mean, this is, well, you're 58. I'm 60. So I'm 2 years ahead of you. And one thing we learned in school that we taught ourselves was the toilets are sacred places for women. And we learned that by kiss chasing. That was Bali's. This is grade 1. You know what I mean? You couldn't go in.
Yes.
They're in the toilet. They just laugh at you. You can't come in here. And
Yeah.
it gave us, and we men do it the same. I still learned that lesson. I go up, I won't go in because of that I learned then.
But because you're actually respectful, because you're
Yeah, of course.
respectful,
Yeah.
and you have manners and you're a gentleman. And you know what? I say this to young men all the time that, you know, bring back chivalry, bring back being a gentleman, bring back manners. You know, women, don't listen to the girls that tell you that they don't like to have the door open for them, that they don't like to have the car door open for them. Don't listen to the girls that don't like it when you walk on the side of the footpath that is the gentleman's side of the footpath, that pulls the chair out for you at dinner. Don't listen to the girls that say that we don't want that, we want equality, because women do want that. That most girls secretly, if they don't want to admit it because they're too afraid of being politically, not politically correct, but most women deep down, because women and men are fundamentally very, very different, women do want to be nurtured and protected by the strength of a man. That's why men and women are brought together. That's why we have the masculine and the feminine. That's why nature intended us to actually amplify our strengths. And a man's strength is showing his strength in a way of the gentleman. It's a quiet strength. It's the subtle strength that I'm here. I will protect you at all costs. And women need to embrace that. We need to embrace it.
Let me tell. I'm a writer, and if you're a writer in Australia and you don't want to write woke stuff, you spend a lot of time doing all shitty manner jobs that you do just to pay the bills so you can concentrate on writing. For about several years, I was working in nursing homes, and I really used to love talking to the oldies about the past and other things. And one thing that the women used to tell me, and these were women who'd been in long-term relationships, most of them 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, 60 years. It was really common that they had these long relationships, and you'd see them in their dress, really old pictures of them getting married, and they were very modest weddings, gabardine dress. I don't even know what gabardine is, but they go gabardine dress. Must be a material. But what they would say to me was, I say, so was it love at first sight? And always the women used to go, nope. He chased me for about a whole summer before finally I said, okay. And then what I thought it was, as I realized, this was the woman testing. Okay, I kind of like this guy, but can I trust him? Can I build a life out of him? Well, after a summer of trying to get me to go out with him, I'll give him a go. And then she goes, okay, I want to have kids. I want this. I want to build a family, but I need a man that's going to be there.
Absolutely.
And that was the testing ground. But now we can't have this testing ground, because if she says no on the first date, if he tries again, it's stalking. And that's what men are scared. Oh, she said no. Where in the past, this was called wooing. We watch romantic films about it.
That's right. And it's called proving in courtship, because it goes back to the deep-seated, probably primitive instincts that both men and women have when they're trying to find a mate. And without going into the complexity of all of that, I feel really, really sorry for young men trying to find, amongst a lot of the young women out there that have been brainwashed into thinking that they're more special, that they're better than men, that they're more entitled to things than men are, and that they've got so much more to offer than the men have got to offer them. I mean, this is the sort of narrative that 21st century feminism has fed to these poor young women. And then you see the mental health issues of young men and young women blooming, because they don't know, they haven't been taught the fundamental building blocks of a relationship and dating and courtship, and actually taking your time to get to know someone, and maybe saying no, and then the boys being persistent, and the men knowing what they want. No, I want her.
Can I say, as a bloke,
for me, I want that girl, and I'm gonna prove to her that I'm worthy. This is the sort of stuff that probably goes back 10,000 years. But you see, we've belittled men so much that girls are coming out of this, particularly the Gen Ys and the millennials, where they feel that well, I'm better than a man. I'm better than boys because girls are just
I
better.
don't
We're
need
more special. We're this, we're that, we're women. Because that's the way that society has put women in the identity politics realm, in the gender realm. They've put women above men. And that's what wokeism has done. And it's been a very, very big mistake. And we pay for those mistakes with increased violence, increased domestic violence. We pay for those mistakes with sometimes, there's crime against women. And it's like, guys, can we just take a step back and have a look at what vilification of men is doing to our overall, fabric of men and women together, boys and girls, and understanding, how do boys get with girls these days? I don't even know. I mean, I feel sorry for them. I mean, some of these girls
walking the other day, Cal and I were just feeling that this was happening. It's not just girls. It's not just boys. Cal and I were walking the other day, and we got off the train, and there's this huge person walking towards us. Right until we were 10 meters away, we couldn't tell it was a man or a woman, because it was so. And it must have been a non-binary thing. We were pretty sure it was a man. But you're thinking, if you are a straight woman, you'd be thinking, how can I? Where are the men? Where are the men who are messy? Where are the men who want to be working on cars and out and doing the things? Where are the men that'll go, hey, where a woman can go, so do you want to go in the sack? And the men's like, yeah, boom, they're there. The men want to feel needed in a woman's life. That's
Absolutely.
what they want. That's
Absolutely.
all they want. And if
That's
the kid
right.
comes along, that's all they want.
Simple creatures. Men are very simple creatures.
We just want to be needed. You come up and give us a kiss, tell us that you love us. It's like, whoa, make our day. That's all we need. We don't need much. And we want to belong, feel that we're necessary, and feel like protecting. Just,
and I'll tell you what women get for that. For that one little thing that we give you, just that, what we get is we get a man who would be prepared to lay down his life for the woman.
Yeah, that's right.
And I think that's a pretty good deal.
Do a shitty job and support your ass.
Absolutely.
For decades.
And I think it's a pretty good deal. I think it's a pretty good deal, ladies. I mean, we've got to women who are woke and who have been brainwashed into disliking men and into jumping on the whole I can't stand the man bandwagon. They just need to wake up and understand that humans are flawed. We're all flawed creatures. And, men are flawed, women are flawed. And if you can hold down a steady relationship, you're going to fight, you're going to argue, you're going to go through your ups, you're going to go through your downs, you're going to go through all of the life's messy moments. And, no one leaves this world unscathed. We've all been there in the tragedy and the triumph. If you've got a person who's your friend, you've got a guy in your life that's prepared to support you, to look after you emotionally, and to be there for you, he will do anything for you. I mean, a man who loves a woman will just, I remember seeing a vox pop once where they spliced together. You probably saw the video where a person interviewed, 5 or 6 men and 5 or 6 women. And the question was, if one of you had to choose who was going to live or die, it was either going to be you or your husband, who would you choose? And all the women said, oh, my God, I will choose for my husband to die. I would live. I would live. I would live. Every single man said, oh, my God, I would choose for me to die and for my wife to live. Fundamental difference between men and women.
Look at the Titanic. The Titanic, when it was sinking, they said women and children first. They didn't say, can we have the toxic men here? But because it's a civilized society. It's a civilized society where a civilized Western civilization decided to end slavery. White men decided to end slavery, and they also decided that there is a great deal of value in the female contribution to our society, to our intellectual society, into our workplaces, and that we need women to vote. We need women, and Western civilization did that. And that fundamental
kind of came from the Knights, where, you know, that the chivalry and this idea that we can be gentlemen and that we actually value our women and children. And any society that values their women and children is a society that prospers. And that's why Western civilization, I believe, it's one of the fundamental reasons why Western civilization apart from other things, but it's one of the big things because of the men and the decisions they made to create the civilization and the parts that they put together on that.
Do you know a really interesting thing too is I was watching this English intellectual. I don't know his name. He's a big fat guy, but he really speaks well. And I should know his name, but he said, look, they used to be like my father worked, my mother stayed home and raised us, and that was just normal life for us. And then when we in school, mum went back to work. Nowadays we have the two people working, and the child goes into daycare. So the government gets two taxes now, gets tax from this, tax from that. But it's been proven, I think this guy said, that the family has 35 hours less time with each other.
Yeah.
So that's what the kids miss out of with their mum, with their dad. And no one's, the houses are more expensive now. This is more expensive. I think this is what we've seen the slow decay of. Because it used to be the norm. And I'm not saying every woman wants to stay home and raise the kids. I get it. The option, you want to go out, work. But now before it was an option. And what he was saying, options become obligations because now you can't do it. And I had this beautiful young man out here. He was at 40 actually, but now I'm 60. I can call him young. And he was doing the water meter. And where we're staying, this Simon's house is like a jungle. He couldn't find the water meter. But he loved his job. Now, it's not a great job. You know, for most people, you know, you're not a PhD professor. You're not an astronaut. You're just reading the water meter, but someone needs to do it.
Absolutely.
And he's going in. He told me he works 18 kilometers a day. And then he couldn't stop talking. And what he said was, my wife wants to have another baby, but we're renting. I don't want to rent for the rest of my life. I want to have a house for my family. But he can't have both. And he can't afford anything. The only way he could afford something which makes him going into debt that he'll never get out of is to go way out in the bush, and his wife doesn't want to live away from her family. So I had to say to him, the choice our country's giving you is, do you want to leave a family or do you want to leave bricked up air? And I said to him, my father never had that choice. My father worked in factories, drove trucks. He did odd jobs, you know, like that. And yet with those odd jobs, when he turned up in 1970, he lived in Glenelg, Adelaide, was paying off a mortgage. We went on holidays as families several times. Every long weekend we were gone. And then we had holidays as well. And we took it as the norm. Like, this is just how you grow up.
That's right.
But we were close as a family then. And that's being lost. And I don't see how much we've gained from it, except when you go past daycare centers and you watch these tiny little kids. They don't want to be there. There's videos of parents turning up to get the kids, and the kids just race to them crying.
Yeah,
the kids
that's right.
want their mother. And I'm sorry, but they do. They want their fathers as well. But if a kid falls down, it never goes, Daddy. It goes, Mummy. And I'll tell you something else that's haunting to how important mothers are. When I used to work in nursing homes, I used to work night shift because I'd write during the day and I could do night shift. And I just, anyway, I'd be walking down the corridors of these nursing homes where people had dementia. And sometimes I'd go down a corridor and all I could hear was one or two, maybe sometimes three old people whose memories had gone, calling out for their mother.
Yeah, that's incredible,
That's
isn't it?
how important the mother-child relationship
Incredible.
is.
I think there's so many layers to what's happened in our society. There's so many layers to what you've just been talking about. There's the destruction of the family unit. There's the double income required to meet because we've got a housing crisis.
And they're still poor doing it.
That's right. And then, you're you're forced. So there's this lack of freedom of choice. I mean, these are all really big themes, and they're all interrelated with each other. And, and then the biggest one is, particularly in Australia, in the last 5 years, is this surge in teenage crime rates in all of our capital cities. And that's all interrelated with what you're talking about as well. So to unwind all of this would be an extraordinary thing to do in a broad way across our society. And would you be able to do it? I was probably very fortunate in that, in my experience, I did have a career, and I was able to sort of balance things out because I then owned my own business, and I have several businesses, and I have really great people around me. So I am able to really pay attention to the things that I think are really important to pay attention to. That makes me very fortunate. I do try to remind women in this whole debate is that I think there's a difference between a career and a job. And I think that there are certain jobs out there that that women do, and they probably do it very, very well, and they do it well. And it's a very controversial area because financial independence is also something that I have had and taught from my parents as being something that's very important. So you get really torn with this debate about the role of women in society. But I grew up in the 80s and the 90s hearing, particularly in the 80s, that women can have it all. We can do everything. There's nothing we can't do. We can have it all. Family, husband, children, job, career, be the CEO, still have. And it's you can, but you are not as free as you were back in the 80s to make some of those choices about coming and going in another workforce, spending time with kids and coming back in. These days, as I said, because of the cost of housing and the housing crisis, you've got to have that double income. Then all of a sudden women feel a little bit trapped because having it all means that some women are just exhausted all the time. Yeah. Completely exhausted.
And the men are despondent because they don't know what their purpose is. They're just like taking up space. I mean, I remember
it's a really, really tricky subject because we have created a society right now that is probably not as healthy as it was, certainly when I was a teenager. We're not as fun. We're not as larrikin. We're not as happy. I think there's a lot more, suicide rates, for instance. I mean, these are all KPIs. Teenage crime rates, suicide rates, mental illness. How many pills are we dishing out to our kids now that have got ADHD? I mean, they're handing pills out to kids like candy cane. All of these issues that we touch upon are actually all interrelated into the bigger picture of our society that we're living in and the society that we want to be in.
It's interesting, that I feel that I don't believe there's a political answer to this. Even if Pauline gets in,
yes,
I don't know what happened. I believe the real answer is what we're doing now. It's people got to start talking about what actually matters. Stop talking about your trip to Bali. Stop talking about renovating your kitchen or whatever else you're doing. Start talking about who we are as Australians, because I really feel now that the government is taking us this way into a future that is not conducive to our souls, to the human soul. The
current government is taking us into the abyss. It is not conducive. I think you're being very polite when you were saying that.
Like your book here, we'll be teaching, instead of teaching our kids follow your dreams, we'll be going, oh, you can't say that. You can't do that. You can't do that. This is how people caught in communism teach their children. Don't do that. Don't do that. Stay safe. Instead, we're in a country where we're free. We should say, what are your dreams? What do you want to do? Even if you're having a family, should be great. We're so wealthy. We could go say, oh, here's this young woman they've just met. She wants to stay at home looking after the kids. Okay, the state will pay her. Great. Because we benefit. We've got all this money. We give $600 million away to a Papua New Guinea team so they can set up a soccer
Don't start telling
That's
us where all the
600
money's going.
million. 600 million. Can you imagine how many
Don't
Australian
even
mothers,
start. I
even
mean,
single mothers, could stay at home and, because people put down. I remember one of the things I really hated about what was her name? What was the prime minister with the red hair and the big ass? What was her name?
oh, Julia
Julia
Gillard.
Gillard. Now, the reason I didn't mind it, but when she started calling single mothers leeches, now maybe there is a few, but what I thought was these children are the future of the country. And I've met so many single mothers who have done all manner of shit to keep their children safe, to try and get that. They are tough women, you know what I mean? And they get treated like pariahs, and they're not. And there's so many people I've met, gorgeous men who've come from single mothers. It's a tough thing, but it's there. And a lot of that is the breakdown of the mental loss. There's all these issues, but they're solvable. And they're only solvable not by a government going, okay, we're going this way, but by the community going, what do we want? The social contract is literally, it's hanging by a thread. Once you can't feed your children, you can't pay your bills, there's no reason to comply with the government anymore. We give you taxes, you give us nothing.
Yeah.
And
Look,
so
I mean,
that's it.
where our
Just to finish, we could start discussing what we do want. And what we do want is when a young boy is born into our community, whether he's with a single mother, whether he's with a proper family, father, mother, no matter who he's with, that boy knows that our society doesn't see him as a toxic, dangerous pre-man that has to be taught how to be a man like they're trying to do in Victoria now. He is a gift to the nation, a gift. And it's the same for young women. These are gifts. Our value system, as far as I believe, is that children should be at the core.
Absolutely.
And what can we leave them? Because at the moment, we're leaving them $1 trillion and $1.3 trillion worth of debt. We've had a great party for 4 decades. You kids have got the bill. This is disgraceful.
It's beautifully said. Beautifully said. I mean, we have not been protecting our children. We haven't been good parents overall, societally.
We injected a lot of them. We don't even know what's in it. We just trusted the government.
Yeah, that's right.
And now 24% of our girls are infertile. That's the truth.
Yeah.
It wasn't before COVID. True now.
Absolutely. And I think people were having fertility issues before COVID as well. I think what we've got to do first is we've got to get prosperity back into the country, because once you get prosperity and you get your economy moving, you get your self-sufficiency back, and you start giving people lots of opportunities to grow their businesses, to start businesses, to actually become entrepreneurs, to be creative, to be inventors, to manufacture things, to make things, to have all of that self-sufficiency, because we don't have to pay for energy. I mean, we could manufacture things competitively because we could just give every business free energy, because let's face it, we have the energy to give, and you've got to build that.
The man I interviewed today, this professor, he is an expert in fracking. He says fracking is safe. The Greens are pushing a thing that's dangerous. It's not. It's safe. It's cheap. And we could have abundant, cheap fuel, like extremely cheap power for centuries.
Absolutely.
That's how bad
we've got oil. We've got plenty of oil, and we should be able to refine it. Other Western countries refine it, so we could actually get our own oil and refine it rather than sending it away. When you do that, when you fundamentally get back your infrastructure, your economy, and you provide the right environment for people to become either entrepreneurs or to work for entrepreneurs and businesses, small to medium-sized businesses particularly, what you're doing is you're fostering dreams, and then you're giving people opportunities. And so once you give people opportunities, you're bringing back choices. You're bringing back the choice to girls and boys, to mothers and fathers. Okay, well, who wants to stay home? Well, I'm running the business, so you stay home. Or you run the business with me, but we have the flexibility to move and shake and still have our children with us. And we run our own businesses and we have flexible hours. Oh, well, I work for somebody else, well, listen, if that business is doing well and it's growing, I'm going to get promoted, and then you can start to stay at home. Let's start a family then. What it brings is, once you get economic prosperity back into Australia fully, and I mean get our energy back, get our manufacturing back, get our business incentives back, get the government away from us, reduce the taxes from 123 different taxes to maybe 10, maybe 20, maybe, if that.
Maybe.
Once you put the wealth back into the hands of the people and you bring back that prosperity, I think a lot of these other things that we talked about earlier around our society and the family units and the ability to raise good children and prosperous families and have households that can afford to actually purchase rather than rent and buy a new car occasionally and be,
you can afford time together.
Afford time together. Go on a holiday.
Spend time, but even during the week, you know, they can afford to spend time together. That's it, you know.
And I think that's what you have to do first to be able to provide the right environment, because Western civilization has given us a taste of that, and we know that we can do it better. We're going backwards right now, but that's the way to turn the ship around, and I think it's got to be done fundamentally. And I think we've got to go back to what is Australia going to provide us to allow us to get back the society that we want. And we've got everything that we need right here to do it.
Yeah. No, we are the lucky country. I'll play the song "The Lucky Country," a poem I wrote, because it was about 8 years ago. I was doing a tram shift late at night, and I saw this single mum and a 10-year-old boy with a trolley, and everything they owned was in the trolley. And I stopped the tram on Victoria Street, Melbourne, full of people. I didn't give a shit. I went out and go, "What are you doing? What are you? It's middle of winter. What are you out here for?" The boy was so used to homelessness. He was like, "What's the problem?" And she told me they could find nowhere, so they were heading into the city to find somewhere to sleep. I thought, how can we be the lucky country when we've got this here?
Absolutely.
This is wrong. And I think it comes down to everyone looking after their own pile of dirt, where in actual fact, it's for us all to look, this is our pile of dirt, and our politicians are no longer fit for purpose. We need to have a discussion how our politicians look after, basically are there to serve us, not corporations. This is our country. We have the power within us. We just have to find the courage to wield the power, and we don't have to do it violently, but free speech is essential for that.
Absolutely.
That's how we identify problems and fix problems. So I'd love to sit in a cafe and hear Australians just talking about Australia in the future and problems and solutions, maybe problems first and then solutions, but just talk, because the government wants you to hand over your freedom of speech, because then you can't get it back. And if there is a third of you that do like tyranny, well, the other 2/3, you've got to decide, are you going to just follow them? Because this is an interesting thing. I got told by an abattoir guy. When they have sheep at an abattoir, it's very, very hard to get the sheep to walk into the building, because they don't like walking into buildings, and they can probably smell the death.
Yes.
So what they do is they have a thing called a Judas goat. Have you heard of it?
No, I haven't.
They put a goat in the herd, and the goat is trained to walk into the abattoir. But just before it gets to the killing place, the abattoir workers will open a little gate or a chute, and the goat will come up, and the sheep walk into the abattoir.
Oh, wow. Yeah. The sheep follow.
And we need Australians to look, okay, we built this country on the sheep's back, but you are not sheep. You are human beings, but they are trying to make you into sheep. And the only one that can stop them is you. That's it.
Yes.
It's your choice.
Yeah, so well said. So well said. I really, they're great words. And I think that the talking, that was probably the reason why I put the book out. And I know I said it in my little video as well, is it's really for everybody else. It's for everyone to say, I'm going to say something the next time I go to a barbie or the next time I'm with my friends. I'm going to say something. I'm going to say something kind of radical for me. I'm just going to put it out there and see what the reaction is. And I'm going to be brave. And I've got some stories of people that have been doing that. And they're extraordinary. And they go, I get a great reaction.
Yeah,
I get a great reaction.
Yeah. Yeah. It's beautiful, isn't
So,
it? And it's ours now. This is it. I tell people at these marches, our generation has a choice. We can be the liberators of the next generation or the enslavers. We are the ones with the choice. They will be born, if we choose enslavement, they will be born into a world it's going to be very hard to get out of their slavery. We are the last human beings with the choice. And I'm hoping we choose liberty. But the only way we can do that is to think of them, is to think beyond ourselves. And that's what you're doing, Melinda. And that's why it's such a joy to have you on.
Thank you so much. Well, thank you for having me.
I know. I used to see you on TNT Radio, but every time I see your posts, I often share them. And you always make me smile and this. And so it's really great to join up. And maybe we can do this again over things. It's once a month or something. It's fun to do.
Yeah, I'd love to. It's been a wonderful chat.
But it's been well received, and here we are. So I'll do this again. This is Melinda's book. You can't. I'll get this out of the way. You can't say that. I'll put the link up here. That's the link to her website there, where you can buy it there. It's. I know times are tough, but this. Unfortunately, books is the only way we can secure our past, because you go back in your Facebook page, your posts are gone. They're already memory holding our past. You go back 5 years ago, most of the things you said about COVID have been deleted.
It's fascinating, isn't it, to watch the rewriting of history? But I think, and that's another reason why I do my Never Forget posts, because I would screenshot so many things. I took so many photos and screenshots for that 2.5 year period. My phone's just clogged with them, because I thought this is all going to disappear. I even screenshotted the posts that I got censored for and reposted those.
Yeah, we did the same. We got done for we got a 3,649 day ban. I woke up one day, and it actually said, we've restricted your page, Cafe Locked Out, the main page, for 3,649 days. I'm looking at going, what? Is that a joke? And you go, how long is that? 10 years almost. And Lisa here should probably tell us what we're up to. We've got a great friend here who keeps tabs of it. But it's still a joke. But we keep going. And I think if we can get Australians to realise the future is theirs, they can be the architects of the future if they want. But if they're just going to leave it up to these people in Canberra, then you're going down. You're going down. Hey, Lisa, what are we up to, Lisa? Just before we go, we'll pull it up. 2,985 days before I can like your funny cat videos.
Oh my God! I see. This is the thing. I didn't get banned for that long. I think mine was a week or two. I got taken down.
We used to get those all the time. 90 days, a week here, there, this, but who knows? But it was turbines.
Yeah, I think that happened to me.
Turbines that got us done. Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah, 3 or 4 times. I think I sort of lost count after a while, because I just keep getting the notification.
Yeah, that's right.
You've got a ban.
F off. Yeah.
Never gave up.
Is there anything you'd like to say before we end? And we'll end on yours. It's been a joy to have you on.
Thank you so much.
Heavy interviews today. It's so great to meet a brave Australian. You're so brave.
Thank you so much. I just really appreciate being here. And I loved your words. I think, come on, everyone, don't be afraid to speak out. Lose the fear of speaking out. That's my theme. Lose the fear. Don't be afraid of anything. And don't be afraid of the government. And just, every individual has so much to offer. Every individual has, usually is a pretty good person, has a lot to offer. So, I would love to see a lot more people speak out. So thank you for having me on.
No, it's a pleasure. We're going out. Malika, the woman, has been talking about Iran. She's coming up tomorrow to tell us an update of what's actually happening in Iran, if she knows. So that could be quite powerful. See you tomorrow, guys. Otherwise, you, Melinda, thank you so much. And good night.
Bye.
Good night,
Thank you.
everybody. See you tomorrow. This is the lucky country.
When I met Jesus Christ, he was almost 10 years old, and he was helping his mother push a trolley full of all they owned. And because they couldn't find an inn they could get in, they were heading to the city and leaving Bethlehem. Couldn't you perform a miracle? I'm out of them, he said. I tried turning nothing into warmth, but it just made my mother cry. It just made my mother cry. Mary Magdalene has become a man, and tonight he's old, and she has been riding my tram. Now it's late and she's trying to sleep beneath a poster for a bank. Your dreams are important to us as it bathes her face in gold. Come give us your natural gifts, we make wealth from toil. Come pretend for history's page that we're advancing on straight affair. Let's pretend that we're all advancing on straight affair. Back down the road I found the church we built on the black man's bones was empty, and out the front a sign read all but sold. A sign read all but sold. And we all owe so much money, but to whom we're not quite sure. So hey,